There are tons of hidden tricks in the music of Mario Kart World, and a great example of that is the soundtrack for Rainbow Road. The Mario Kart World soundtrack is already going down as one of the best of all time, and while the music itself is awesome, a bunch of work is going on behind the scenes to keep the music changing and adapting as you drive around the world. The track Rainbow Road is an awesome example of this due to having multiple different sections which all need different music and still need to flow into each other naturally. I'll go over all of the musical tricks used, but in general, the music is set up with clever use of linear segments which just play once and move on, and looping segments that can repeat indefinitely until the player triggers the next section. You never know how long a player will be in a section of a game, so looping music can cover any length of time, but how and when these loops are used can be a creative opportunity. Starting off on the way to Rainbow Road, we get this exciting opening music, which then moves into a looping vamp. The synth solo feels improvised, and you hardly notice that the music is looping at all. As we reach the top of the ascension and see Rainbow Road, we get some intro music that is beat locked with a previous loop and is timed so that the melody should kick in close to when you land on the track. This intro plays just once and goes right into the main loop of the first section. As we hit the next lap marker, the music crossfades into a new chill loop to fit the magical river section of the track. If you're driving right through as expected, the lap marker jingle should pretty much cover up this crossfade. This section begins with a pretty long linear piece of music, which moves into a looping vamp. The music used in this section versus the next section are pretty different, so there are some extra tricks used in pulling off the transition. As you reach the end of the next section, most of the instruments are pulled out on the beat, leaving mainly the saxophones and guitars. And when the saxophones finish their melodic line, a new electronic kick drum beat comes in. When you land on the new track, the synthy music comes back in full. This section uses the same implementation as the last section, with a long, linear segment that leads into a looping vamp. As you reach the end of the section, the music simply fades into the background, mostly replaced by the sparkling sound of the track, but you can still faintly hear some instruments. And finally, the last section uses a loop which brings back the theme from the first lap in a big and exciting way. The music gets interrupted as soon as you hit the finish line, but we get a special Rainbow Road version of the results screen music. Using linear intros that move into loops is a common way to implement game music, but Mario Kart intros are a lot longer than usual. These longer linear segments allow for more complex and melodic musical ideas that normally would be hard to transition out of. The loops then are a lot simpler and more repetitive, which makes transitioning easier, but they also don't loop for very long since the first linear segment filled in most of the time. This way, the game is able to deliver fun and memorable melodies characteristic of Nintendo games, while also having smooth and responsive adaptive music.